board meeting Wednesday. Beyond the boardroom. Beyond the boardroom.
All right. We got a board meeting Wednesday, episode part 2 with Phil Gentry. We just had our retail SaaS episode where he broke down the top 3 softwares in his business. If you're interested in understanding what software you should use in your gym, check out the episode. I'd like to drip out a little bit of what we talked about, but I'm not gonna. You're just gonna have to go to the episode and listen. Now, what we like to do after the show, because what we're doing here, guys, is we're talking to business owners about the technology that they can use to scale. And if you're in a mode where you're scaling as a business owner, you didn't get there on accident, right? You know, you're a goal-driven person, you're working through systems and processes. You didn't just end up there on accident. And so I'm a big goal setter. I built an entire construct around it called the Power of 27. I actually, with technology, Phil, I think I might have told you this, but I actually built my own app. And so I'm actually going to go on my LinkedIn profile here soon, and I'm going to add senior developer because now I can apparently write code through the power of AI. And I built an entire app to help me organize my life. So one of my top softwares would have been Apple Reminders. It has now been removed from my purview, and I've got the Power of 27, and I am breaking my goals down like never before.
Oh,
So
cool.
if you're looking to, organize your life out there, guys, and you want to get a system in place to help you set goals, check out the Power of 27. But what we do in this episode, guys, is we really just kind of have a one-on-one conversation. Phil and I have been friends for 25, 30 years. We've watched our businesses grow over that time. We've helped each other, consulted with one another. And one thing that we do have in common is it didn't happen on accident. We set goals. We break those goals down so we can move towards, our dreams and become the person that we want to do. So what I want to do is just, we're just going to have a little quick chat, and we're going to talk to Phil about how he sets goals. And what's the trials and tribulations? What does he do when it gets hard? And just, you got to have that reason why. Like, so how do you think about it, Phil? When you're thinking about goal setting in your life, let's just go right to the brass basics. What is your system for identifying your goals, and how do you document them?
System for identifying. That's a good question. I don't know if I have a system for identifying. Something pops in my head and I want it, for me, I knew I wanted to be in this business space. I wanted to be in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and coach and do the things that I do for my members, for my customers as a athlete myself. And I looked around and I noticed that a lot of the people that do this don't make a lot of money. And so what I wanted to do is figure out a way that I could do both. And so
So
Right.
goal, do what I love and make good money doing it.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, honestly, it started off that basic because, the way I looked at it is if I first of all, they work together synergistically, right? If I want to help a lot of people, right, then I'm going to have a lot of people at my gym. And if I want to make a lot of money, then I also have to have a lot of people at my gym. Right. So it wasn't a trade-off, it's like sell your soul for this thing. It's like, no, the more I grow, the more I help people, the more money I make. So the whole goal made sense. Right. And so, we just started off and, first year, hey, we just want to make 100,000, gross revenue. And, from there, we've grown quite a bit. So, there's been revenue goals, there's been total membership goals. We had small fun goals that we set, we'll host a big event. We just did our Gorilla Cup, which is our major in-house tournament that we run once a year. We have both gym locations come, and we have food vendors and a petting zoo for the kids. And it's an awesome time. And so we have attendance goals. And so, yeah, and then based on the goals, let's say it's a revenue goal. I know that if I want to reach this goal at the end of the year, I've got to reach, these sub goals at each quarter. And then I've got to reach, monthly goals within that, and then weekly goals, and then daily goals. And,
It all boils down to the daily action that you need to do today to hit those goals, right? I think
Yeah.
you said something important, that the goals just come to you, right? And that's what I teach, right? I tell people, The system is time blocking a little time, sit down, put on maybe, some nice little music in the background, get your little coffee, get your pen, get your pad out, and whatever comes to your mind. What what happens when you just start to think about who you want to become? Because your brain's going to tell you, right? You're gonna get these thoughts. I'd like to do this and I'd like to do that. And what I've found is the better you are at documenting and getting it out of your head, the easier it is for new thoughts to come in because you're not cluttered, right? Go back to Notion, right? You're organized, your database is organized. Most people are running around with their database, which is their brain, and all of their goals, not organized. It's just all jumbled around, and these thoughts come and go, but they're not actually documenting and then figuring out what I got to do next and what do I got to do next,
Yeah.
right? So we've all got goals, we've all got hopes, we've all got dreams, right? But how are we documenting them, right? So once you identify a goal, what's your next step? Where does that goal go?
Usually in a notepad, initially, right? I have a couple different ways of documenting things, but when I'm just, jotting things out, like going through my day really quickly, I'm paper and pen, man, old school, you
Old
know?
school.
And then at the end of the day, I'll take whatever's paper and pen and put that in a electronic system so I can access it from my cell phone, from my laptop, from wherever I am. Um, Obviously the notepad comes with me a lot less than the cell phone does, right? So I want to have my information on me at all times, right? Um, so yeah, so it usually starts off in a notepad and as I'm brainstorming, and then from there I'll put it into, there was a book that I read, Getting Things Done by David Allen. And one of the things that you said that stood out and reminded me of that book was that the human brain is not designed to store information. The human brain is designed for creativity, right? And problem solving and things like that, right? So when I have it all, bogged down with my to-do list, I've got to do this at 4:30 and I've got to pick up the kids and you know what I mean? And it stops my ability, right? It hinders my ability to be creative. And so I've been a big proponent of taking whatever the idea is, whatever the to-do is, whatever the goal is, and getting that documented somewhere as soon as possible. And then in terms of the goals, it's usually, it's a big goal. Like I just want to beat Brad at golf, right? I want to beat Brad
That's a
at
good
golf.
goal.
So if I want
Good
to
to have
beat
dreams. It's good to have dreams, it's good.
so
Yeah.
if I want to beat Brad at golf, right, there's got to be a game plan for that, right? Like all jokes aside, like that's really a goal, right? I want to spank all my buddies at golf.
I got the
And
same goal written down. It's written
yeah,
down for sure on
yeah,
paper and digital
right, right.
and my
So
war
it's
board.
like I can wish it all I want, right? But now I gotta have the lessons, right? I've got to be out there scheduling my time, right? How often am I gonna putt? How often am I gonna chip, right? How often am I gonna learn work on my wedges and my my wedges and my my woods and my driver, and how often am I gonna play versus being on the range, and create a game plan for that and then execute, you know?
And that game plan is not going to happen if you just keep it in your head, right? I know for most people probably listening, like they're business owners, right? And they're like, yeah, obviously you write the goals down, right? Obviously. But it's not obvious to most people. I speak a lot and teach a lot, and I ask people to get out the goals that they have written down or in their phone so we can review them real quick. And they're like, I don't have them written down. And Harvard actually did a study. I won't get it right. So, everybody out there that's an internet troll, if I say it wrong, don't come back and drop some heat on me. But they did a study on this group of people and they tracked them over their lifetime, and 5% of the people wrote their goals down. The other 95% didn't. And then the 5% that wrote their goals down were more successful than the 95% combined. So there is no question that the power of writing down your goals is so important. And that's why my app is called The Power of 27, because you need to bring your power, organize it so you can become the person that you want to become. Right. So the one we're writing it down, it's going into our journals, right? I'm the same. I got my journal right here. It's always by me. I got stacks of them. I write everything down to get it out of my head. Then I move it into my digital environment. And I've done Google Sheets, I've done whiteboards, I've done you name it, I've had a system, Apple reminders. And, I decided just to make my own because I know those little nuances, that clunkiness, right? And I wanted it all to be turnkey. And so, my ecosystem is not in my brain. It is digitally organized inside of this system. And dude, I put AI into it too. And so like AI knows all my goals and all my actions. And so I can ask it the next thing that I should do to accomplish this goal. And it'll give me like the top 3 recommendations, and they're fire. It's like, how do you even come up with that idea? That's a good idea. Let me drop that on there. So I don't even have to come up with the ideas anymore. I just got to go do the work. And I'm finding now I don't even have to do the work sometimes. I can just actually have AI tell me what to do. And then I say, well, could you just do that for me? And then it'll just go do it. It's amazing. Um, my goal compounding is about to get crazy. So, but let's talk more about that, right? Because you talked about some of your business goals, but the reason that we all work and we have business is, and usually there's a mission for it. There's that reason why, but it really counteracts into the personal, right? In my opinion, work is the fuel that pays for the party for everything else that we want to do in life, right? And so we're not just setting business goals, we're setting personal goals. So when you identify one of those big macro goals, right? How do you break it down into chunks and get it to the point where you understand what the next step is? And the reason I ask that, Phil, is that people they just get analysis paralysis, right? Resistance comes into their mind and says, you can't do that because of this. And everything can feel so overwhelming to take the first step. And I tell people all the time, like, just take the first step, because whatever you think is going to happen, or whatever the plan is that you think that you wrote down that's going to work, you have no idea what you're talking about, right? Like, you might feel in order to beat me at golf, you need to go chip this much and putt this much and do this much, but you'll identify through your journey that you're not weak at putting. And so you actually don't need to putt as much. You need to figure out how to get off the deck with your driver further, right? And so your entire plan can change, but until you go out there and start doing things, you have no idea what the plan should be. And so I'm constantly in a state of pivot because I only know what I know. And the only way to know anything is to take action. Right?
Mhm.
So how are you taking that macro goal and breaking it down into subsets so you can actually figure out, what do I do today?
Well, I think it's congruent with what you just said. I mean, it's largely a hypothesis, right? I mean, if I've got something that's measurable and a number, right? So we're talking a business goal, gross revenue goal, a net revenue goal, a total members goal, that kind of thing. That's easy to do, right? I just need to do the division to find out what I need to do every quarter, every month, every week, every day, that then adds up to that goal, right? And of course there's other factors to there, like retention and other, but it's math, right? When you take something like a golf thing, or for me, I'm as you know, I'm a family guy, right? I love my wife, I love my daughters. I have a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 15-year-old daughter, and being a good father to those kids and raising children that are happy and fulfilled and go on to chase their dreams and do things in their life as productive members of society. It's a little bit harder to measure. It's like, how do you measure that, right? But I can break that down into annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly things, right? Like, I don't miss anything. I don't care if it's a ballet performance, recital, a game, whatever it is. I don't miss it. I don't miss any of them. So to me, that's a measurable, right? I
Right.
always have a daddy-daughter date every month with every daughter, right? That's a measurable. I do an annual daddy-daughter trip, right? I haven't done those with my 2 and 3-year-olds, but I do that with my 15-year-old every year. With just us, we'll go to a different place, we'll pick it together, and we'll go take off for 3 days. Um, and then we have other things that we do around school and behavior, if that's an issue, and all kinds of all the other intangibles. But um I don't know if that answers your question, but
I think you hit the nail on the head. You broke it down. I'll kind of repeat what you said, guys, because this is actually what you have to do to accomplish your goals. You have to have it. You have to write it down. Then you have to say, what can I do over the next quarter? And I think the biggest problem that most people think is they write down a goal and they don't really give it a construct, and they think that they just need to go obtain it. And if you can't obtain it or you're not taking actions towards it, you lose that goal. Like a lot of people will set a New Year's resolution. I'm going to work on it this year. I got a lot of time. I got all year. And the next thing you know, it's November. And like, man, I didn't do any of that stuff. Like, and so they recalibrated that New Year's resolution. And so I like to work in 12-week sprints. The book, The 12-Week Year, phenomenal. It changed my life. And it's the same construct as business. All businesses work on quarterly. But what you want to do is think about that 12-week like it's a year. So if I have my macro goals and then I can identify what I can work on in the next 12 weeks, it's very laser focused. Then I can take every micro action that I have to do to accomplish the 12-week goal. Now I'm breaking it down into what you're saying. Well, what can I do this month? What can I do this week? And more importantly, what am I doing today? And that's exactly how my system breaks down, right? I have all my macro goals. I move them into quarterly sprints, and then I move them into my action plan, which has the buckets where I can store things. And then I move them up into this week, into this day, and I am planning my day. So when I wake up, I know the 4 things or 5 things that I'm going to do. I've got everything time blocked on my calendar, so I know when I'm going to do them. And then I'm just able to move through my day. And I know that if I do the things that are on my list for the day, that is compounding to my sprint goals, which is compounding to my macro goals, which will help me become the person that I want to become. And a lot of people just can't get the big goal down to the micro action. And they don't know where to start, not understanding that micro action can be so simple, right? Like if I want to get my health right, you know, and let's say I have a goal with weight, whether I want to gain it or lose it. Okay, great. That's my goal. But what am I going to do in the next 12 weeks? Well, I'm going to work on my diet plan or my workout plan. Okay, if I'm working on my workout plan, well, what do I got to do? Well, I got to get some shoes, bro. I'm not going to the gym without some new gym shoes and some new clothes. So that's an action I got to do. And maybe I'm going to do a little push-up routine daily to get some extra little chest gains in there. And so I start to break it down into my micros. Well, I can go buy some shoes right now. I can just get on the internet, click, 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 buy some shoes. The shoes are on the way. I just checked off a goal, a micro action that's moving me closer to my macro action. And getting the new shoes and then putting them on, I'm like, man, I look good in these shoes. I should probably take them on down to the gym because that's why I bought them. And the next thing you know, that micro goal leads to the next goal, which leads to the next goal. But if I don't buy the shoes, then I'm just using that as, oh, I couldn't go. I had these busted shoes, right? So that's a side tangent kind of example, but it's really that simple with everything. I don't care what it is a person wants to do in life. It's the compounding of micro actions, and the micro actions are easy, right? It's actually doing them and understanding what they are so you can get down the road. And then at the end of 12 weeks, what you thought you were going to do in the next 12 weeks has completely changed because you have learned so much in that last 12 weeks. You have to have a new plan. And that's why you got to recalibrate it. And if you don't recalibrate it, you could be going down the wrong road because you didn't make the pivot because you're trying to stay on the original plan. And that's just not the way the world works. We all see the drawing where people think success is just up, right? It's like this, right? You're just bouncing around all over the place. You don't know what's going on. But if you don't have it documented in a plan and know what you need to do today, you ain't getting anywhere. So you mentioned something, kind of going through it, the daddy-daughter dates, and you don't miss an event. What I have found is that goal-driven people use calendars very well. They time block everything, and they're never late because we understand the value of time. We certainly would not want anybody to waste our time, and so we never waste anyone else's time. And to me, that's a huge show of character. I did not used to carry that trait as a person. I was late to everything. People could not count on me to be there. I would tell people things and I wouldn't roll up. It was when I was young, like, 16, 17, 18, 19. Took time for me to understand that I was wasting other people's time. And so now if you got me on the calendar, I'm rolling in, right? I'm going to be there on time, ready to go and prepared. But it sounds like you're moving in that same kind of construct. Are you a big calendar user? You time blocking? Like, how do you move from one second to the next?
Oh man, if it's not on the calendar, it does not exist in my life. So everything is on that calendar.
Everything is on it.
At night before I go to bed, I take all my tasks, they go digital. I cross-reference those with my calendar. I've got all of my what I call my inbox, right? So these are all the to-dos that have come in throughout the day. Those all get scheduled. The calendar gets reviewed. And then, like you said, I just wake up and roll, man. I know where I've got to be and when, and I've got the space to get there all mapped out. And if I get there early, I got things to do, man. I can sit in the car or sit wherever I'm meeting you and knock out a task. So I think the concern of being early at one point in my life was that time was wasted. If I'm there early, then I'm waiting on you. If I'm there on time, you're going to be late, so I'm waiting on you. But nah, there's plenty to do in there's plenty of ways to fill that space. So I'm
Always
with you.
some things on the checklist to do while you're waiting. I actually don't even mind when someone cancels because then I'm like, sweet, I got some time back. I'm gonna go ahead and check these things off my list real quick.
Yeah.
So I know that was a big game changer for me. And you'd be surprised, a lot of people don't use the calendar, right? So, guys, if you're listening, grab your phone out real quick and go to your calendar. If there's no meetings on it, then I promise you that you are not using your time wise enough in order to become the person that you want to come. You have got to time block time, not only for your job and for your family and for, just eating and commuting. Like there's all the normal things that you got to do, but you have got to carve time out for yourself and the dreams that you want to move towards. And if you don't block that time off, I promise you that there is somebody that is out there time blocking your time for you because they have hopes and dreams. And it takes people collectively working together to accomplish those things. And the people that are better at organizing other people's times to reach their dreams are moving at a faster rate. So if you're not time blocking your time, start there. Make sure your calendar is beautiful. It should have all kinds of colors. So you know when you're moving into that time block, that's what you're doing. Like my red is eat, my orange is task work, my green is project work. I know exactly. Do I time block my commutes? Right?
Yeah.
Like I know when I'm going to be in the car because when I'm in the car, I'm doing other things like listening to
You
a
have to,
podcast, right?
man. You
I'm
live 2
habit
hours
stacking,
away
right?
from everybody.
Listen, bro, I gotta, this atomic habits out here. We got a habit stack. I ain't got time to be wasting, in the car, listening to music. Every once in a while, I'll tone it down, listen to some music, but I'm either thinking and prioritizing and getting those thoughts, or I'm listening to a podcast or listening to some information that can help me. How do I maximize the time that I'm using? Because look, we all got the same 24 hours in a day, and some people are just way better at orchestrating it. But nobody's out here with an extra 5 hours, and that's why they're beating you. They're beating you because they've got their time organized and they've learned to organize other people's time. Look, I teach my entire ecosystem how to do it because I don't want to be the only one organized. I
Right.
need everyone to be organized so everybody's on time, everybody's showing up, and everybody's crushing the game.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So I think the consensus is successful business owner here, crushing the game, making massive impact all across the Atlanta area, changing lives. And you're doing it because you have your reason why, big goal setter, really working through it. I'm going to say I hit that on the head.
I think so, man. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, look, I appreciate you coming on. I hope that even just one person out there hears this podcast today and understands that maybe they don't have their goals written down or they don't have their calendar blocked. They're going to start doing it today and start to become the person that they're looking to become. If you are listening out there and you want to figure out how to take your life to the next level and you want to get organized, you can check out the Power of 27. Just go to power27.com. You can download the app. It's got a 90-day free trial on there so you can test it. It's an absolute game changer. You can follow us on all of our social channels too. Reach out to us. We'll help you set your first goal. Anything we can do to help you get on the right path, become the person that you want to become, we're here for you. So, Phil, I appreciate you coming on the show. Lifelong friend, number one guest on the show. So maybe some other people will be upset that you got that number one spot. It's too bad, because they got a problem with it. I'll just tell them to holler at you, and I'll let you take care of them. So,
Well, I appreciate it, man. I'm honored to be here and certainly going to check out the is it powerof27.com?
that's correct. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to check out that app. That thing sounds pretty cool. I will say
Well, I
one
got it. I
thing.
got it in testing, just so you know, with my team. I just deployed it to 30 people. We're going to work through it. Even though
Okay.
I'm a master developer, I didn't think of everything, so we're going to tweak and change it. So as soon as it's on par, I'll text you and let you know it's ready to rock.
All right, send it my way for sure. And then one other tip for the family guys out there, the entrepreneurs. I've mentioned that I have a 2 and a 3-year-old. I have a 15-year-old daughter. I also have a 22-year-old stepson. And so I've had these decade-long gaps to run it back with kids. And I will say, put your family stuff in the calendar first. I don't know anybody on their deathbed that's talking about, I wish I would have made more money, or I wish I would have done this task at work. It's I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I was there for my kids. And it's so rewarding, right? So make sure that those are the blocks that get the most attention. Everything else will work out.
Well, I think that is absolutely the best closing statement that we can have. So we're going to wrap that up, guys. Make sure that you time block time for your family, and everything else will follow. So here's to setting goals and crushing it.
All right. Thanks, bro.
Appreciate you.
Board meeting Wednesday. Be on the boardroom.